What is up, guys? And in this video we are going to be talking about why you should look into getting a career selling SaaS, or getting a job selling SaaS, or software as a service, as that's what it stands for. And the reason why I'm making this video is because we are in a global pandemic. Unfortunately, a ton of people are getting laid off, unfortunately, and are really looking to break into a new career or start something new, learn something new, break into a new industry. And I'm here to tell you that you should strongly consider a career in sales, right? A lot of people, they think sales is terrible. They never want to get in sales, but I'm here to tell you sales has completely changed, right? So when you think of the traditional sales, you think selling a car or maybe selling real estate. Well, software has completely eaten the world, and it's going to continue to eat the world for the foreseeable future. Everything is moving to the cloud, away from on-premise solutions, and developers and entrepreneurs can build products and solutions and distribute that remotely over the cloud, automatically pushing updates, pushing new applications, and really, pioneering the 21st century. So let's get right into the video, guys. What sectors are you most interested in? That is what you need to decide when going into selling SaaS, because there's a ton of software as a service products and solutions that you could sell. Are you interested in cybersecurity? Are you interested in HR? Right? Did you go to college for human resources? Did you go to college for data science or finance? I would first think about what you're interested in, what you want to do, and what you want to spend the rest of your life or your career researching or studying. So, for example, if you wanted to break into cybersecurity, maybe you studied IT and cybersecurity or cybercrime in college, you could apply to a company like Okta or CrowdStrike or Zscaler. These are phenomenal cybersecurity companies in which you could be an account executive selling their software as a service, right? You could sell endpoint security management, you could sell EMATET, threat protection, the whole nine yards. It's pretty endless in cybersecurity. So that is one tip for you guys to break into SaaS sales. I would go into cybersecurity. Just my opinion, but there's a ton of other verticals out there that are extremely lucrative. So what is your target market? This is the first question, or the second question I would ask yourself right after which vertical you're interested in. So what is your target market? Do you want to sell into SMBs? Do you want to sell into enterprise, or do you want to sell into the public sector, SLED? And SLED stands for state and local governments. So SMB stands for small and medium-sized businesses. These are your local mom and pop shops in your community, maybe the local HVAC company, a small accounting firm. Your enterprise accounts are going to be the more well-known businesses. So if you want to think about maybe even a named account executive, that includes anything from selling into the big investment banks. Maybe you're selling into big advertising agencies, Coca-Cola. Think of any big company on the Fortune 500. Think about the S&P 500. Those are named accounts. Those can be enterprise accounts. That's what you would be selling into. Right now, during COVID-19 pandemic, the most lucrative position to be in my opinion, is public sector, state and local government sales. Why is this? With the coronavirus stimulus package, state and local governments are getting tons and tons of money to reinvest in their infrastructure, put on new technology programs for people within the community. They're rolling out all these different types of software and MDM solutions to people that maybe need to do remote schooling. Maybe they need to get more job training or retool their resumes. So public sector, state and local governments, and education are spending a ton of money on IT products, technology, cybersecurity, telecommunications, and it's all happening right now. So that is just another tip for you guys. If you're looking to break into SaaS sales, maybe you should consider the public sector. So before we consider anything, I think you guys need to understand the breakdown or the hierarchy at a SaaS company if you're going to go sell software. The first most entry-level position you could get is called a BDR, or a business development representative. And what BDRs do is essentially they are appointment setters for the account executives. So as a BDR, you're probably a kid coming out of college, very basic stuff. You'll learn how to cold call, you'll learn how to talk to customers, you'll learn how to send out emails. So you'll probably be cold calling all day or sending out emails all day, just asking the customer for an appointment with the account executive. So the account executives are the people who are going on site. Before the coronavirus pandemic, you were going on site to these customers' locations, you were meeting them in person, you're client facing. So think about a business development representative, not really as client facing. They're probably not going on appointments, they're probably not drafting up proposals for customers. The only thing that they're doing is they're talking to customers on the phone, trying to set appointments, and sending out emails for the account executives. And that is all they are doing, that is what they are scored on, and that is what they are ranked on if they want to get a promotion to account executive. So an account executive is essentially a headhunter role. So account executive means you are in charge of bringing on new business for the company. You are actively searching for new business, you're going out and meeting customers, you're making proposals, you're closing that business, essentially handling the sales cycle from cradle to grave. Now, as an account executive, you may be dealing with small to medium-sized businesses. So your sales cycle may only be 1 to 3 months in your time frame. As you move up market, the buying decisions expand. So you may, in an SMB, you may be talking directly to the CEO, but in an enterprise account, you may have to go through 6 different people to get to that person that makes the decision, right? So that elongates that sales cycle. So I would say as an account executive, if you're selling into small and medium-sized businesses, your sales cycle will probably be 1 to 6 months max, right? As you move on to your enterprise account executives or your major account executives, this is where you're selling into the mid-market. So your sales cycles will probably be a little bit longer. You'll be talking to the CIO of the company, the CEO, business development, all those different kinds of people. So you're going to need to develop your skills and your relationship skills to build trust, to build confidence, and really be that client solutions executive to everybody in that company. Because you want to have them believe that they're making the best decision for their company. So it's not as easy as just selling into the small to medium-sized businesses where you're talking to the person that's going to make that buying decision right away. As a major account executive or an enterprise account executive, that sales cycle is now stretched out to even a year or 2 years. So me personally, I've been working on some deals where I'm selling into hospitals or big home healthcare agencies where the sales cycle can almost take me 12 months or even longer if we're doing a huge software deployment for electronic visit verification or we're doing a new payroll structure for them. It may take a longer amount of time depending on the size of the company, the length of the implementation, and the amount of people that are involved in that sales cycle. So after enterprise account executives comes your strategic account executives. So as a strategic account executive, you'll probably have a book of 10 to 20 accounts that you are actively farming, right? So they're probably a customer of yours already, and you're actively selling into those accounts. This could be anywhere from, honestly, anywhere in the Fortune 500 to Fortune 10. Think about your Goldman Sachs, your big investment banks you're probably selling into. You may be selling into a company like Coca-Cola or a big advertising agency, a Toyota, a GM, a Tesla, all the big autos. That's probably who you're selling into as a strategic or a named account executive. And as we talked about earlier, public sector or SLED, you're selling into government agencies or departments of education, which this can be very lucrative as well because in times of crisis like this, the technology changes at these governments is unbelievably rapid. So they needed to roll out endpoint security solutions for pretty much everybody in New York City, right? If you think about a big municipality or a big government, everybody's working from home. You need some sort of a cybersecurity solution, a VPN, so you can live behind that firewall or some sort of zero trust technology. Absolutely. So I think public sector is a huge space to be in right now. I'll just give you a quick example from my life. One of my really good friends is a public sector SLED account executive at a major telecom company. And I think he blew out his quota like 400 to 500% because he actually sold Chromebooks and MDM software as well as Wi-Fi connectivity to 35,000 students, right? So that's 35,000 units you're selling because they needed to make that quick transition from in-school to then remote learning. So it can be incredibly lucrative. You can do incredible work really helping people in the community, helping the government spend money on the actual people, helping them bring them out of poverty, and really making a big impact. So in my personal opinion, you'll probably see the most fulfillment and the most impact as being a public sector or a SLED account, especially if you're working with different nonprofit agencies that then administer these government funds to really do some really good work in the community. So I would definitely look into that if that's something that you're interested in. So let's talk about compensation. This video has gone on pretty long, so let's cut right to the chase, what everybody wants to know about, what everybody wants to talk about. So usually the compensation splits will be about 60-40 or 50-50. In very rare occasions, you'll probably have a 1099, which is essentially you're a contractor at a very small startup where you're on commission only. So a 60-40 split would mean your base salary makes up 60% of your compensation, and 40% is your commission. 50% is your base salary, 50% is your commission. Pretty easy to break down. So as a BDR executive or a business development rep, they usually hire people right out of college, somebody who's just getting into the software space, and they want to learn how to prospect for new business, set appointments for the account executives, and how to email prospect the correct way. So your base salary is probably going to be around $50,000 to $55,000. However, I have seen base salaries upwards of $85,000 as a BDR, especially if you are starting at, let's say, a larger SaaS company like a Salesforce. You'll probably have a higher base salary and your OTE will probably be higher as well. And OTE stands for on-target earnings. So this is it's like such a huge sliding scale here, guys, because you can be an account executive that blows out your quota. You do 300% and you made $300,000 that year. And there's a ton of people who do that. So for a BDR, you'll probably make $85,000 a year. As we move on to account executive, your base salary will probably be around $75,000 to $80,000, and your on-target earnings will probably be around $125,000. To give you guys a perfect example, a real-world example, when I was an account executive, my base salary was $80,000, and my on-target earnings was about $125,000. However, that year I did about $216,000 as my total OTE because I blew out my quota or exceeded my quota every single month. So they don't cap you at your on-target earnings. We're in sales, so we're incentivized to sell more. So if we hit 100% of our quota and we have more deals to put in, we want to maximize that comp plan. So we want to sell as much as we can. So the sky's really the limit in sales. So for me, I believe I did about 250% to 300% of my quota that year. So I did about $216,000 on a base salary of $80,000, which is pretty good. As we move on to major account executives or enterprise account executives, the base salaries tend to be a lot higher. And the reason for this is because the majority of people who are a major account executive or an enterprise account executive tend to have 7 to 10 years of sales experience under their belt. So they may be older individuals, they may be people that are longer or further along in their career, and they feel more comfortable having a higher base salary of, say, $125,000 to $150,000 with an OT or an on-target earnings of $205,000 to $250,000, so $250,000. And again, this is very relative. So if you guys are looking at this presentation saying, this seems a little bit low, I just wanted to give the most generalized compensation quotes here, just so you guys can really have a basic understanding and not get your hopes up too high, but also not have that expectation set too low to where if you're interviewing on a job and you get an offer, you can counter and really understand what people are getting paid out there. So in my opinion, this is exactly what, BDRs get paid, enterprise account executives get paid, and account executives get paid, because I know a lot of people in this space. I have coworkers, and we all talk about our compensation, and this is pretty much the closest thing that you're going to get. Maybe one year you don't do as well and you only sell 80% of your quota and you're an account executive and you only make $100,000 a year. But maybe the next year you have a really good year and you do 300% of your quota and you make $250,000 to $300,000 a year. It just really all depends on the vertical you're in, how good of an account executive you are, and if you hit your quota and if you exceed your quota. And lastly, public sector and SLED. Your base is probably going to be around 120 to 150. However, one of my friends that's working at a major telecom company, his base is actually $180,000, and he's a SLED representative that has about 15 years of experience on the job, and his OTE is right around $270,000. So it really just depends on the years of experience and what your quota is. So in conclusion, guys, I really hope you consider getting a job selling software. Look into these industries that are growing. I would personally look into selling a SaaS solution that includes cybersecurity. The companies that you want to look into are, just for example, are Okta, CrowdStrike, Zscaler, Palo Alto Networks, Fortinet, or if you want to expand into selling, SD-WAN, which is, software-defined wide area networks. You can work at a telco. If you want to sell UCaaS, you can sell unified communications as a service at a Ring Central or an 8x8. Those pay a lot of money as well with very high residuals. If you're looking to get into customer relationship management software, you can sell at a place like Salesforce, a big company like Salesforce or a HubSpot, which is usually a company that focuses on mid-market and small to medium-sized businesses. If you want to sell a finance product or an accounting product, you could look at selling software at a Coupa Software or a Blackline, something like that. If you're looking into, selling into the healthcare space and you need SMS messaging, maybe you would want to look into a Twilio, something like that. Very easy plug-and-play APIs. I would definitely recommend applying to an account executive position at Twilio. I will link in the description a complete spreadsheet of all the top SaaS companies that you guys need to apply for right now. I'm confident that you guys will probably land one of these jobs. You'll make a ton of money, you'll learn, and you'll have a fantastic experience and grow a fantastic career. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'd appreciate if you gave this a thumbs up on this video. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, DM me, and if you need help, maybe if you need a referral to getting one of these jobs, feel free to message me. I'm more than happy to put you in contact with anybody within this space. I have a ton of friends that are account executives at some of the top SaaS firms all across the United States, and I'd be more than happy to give you guys that introduction. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This channel is going to be mainly based around career in software sales, but also in regards to the stock market, investing our commission checks into some of America's greatest companies with strong earnings growth and strong sales growth. So stick around if you want to listen in on to stock market talk, anything personal finance, and most importantly, getting a new career and starting off on the right foot in 2020, getting a job in SaaS. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.